one of the cold, hard realities when it comes to humanity is the fact that they're able to compartmentalize. And when something is out of sight, it's out of mind. And so I was thinking about yesterday about pain receptors and about Alex Jones, and then about the backdoor triggers that are in all the different therapeutics. I don't care what it is, as well as the holistic therapeutics. Okay. And I think about energy that you don't even know about. Like, you can't even see the energy from a transducer box unless you actually physically see the box. So if you didn't know that box was there, then you wouldn't know what's affecting you. Okay. And so that's the thing about pain. It's like being able to see the transducer box and knowing that if you get closer to the transducer box, you're going to feel a lot more heavy evolution, maybe more than you can handle. But if you step further away from a transducer box that's very, very aggressive, then you won't be as affected. And that's the inverse square law, actually, is the closer you are to an object that sends off energy, the more the energy influences you. And then the further away you step away from an object, the less the energy influences you. And so that, that makes sense in a lot of ways. So then I'm thinking about, like, okay, if you turn off your pain sensors, let's say you turn off all your skin pain sensors, right? Which is virtually impossible because your skin's the largest organ and it's your first line of protection. Okay. And so I've seen it where older people, where something happens and they don't have any fatty cells, hardly any fatty cells. And so they have very papery thin skin. And so they cut themselves and they don't even know they cut themselves. And all of a sudden they're like, wow, I'm bleeding. You're like, yeah, you're bleeding. They're like, whoa, how did this happen? Well, you must have been doing something, but the reason why you didn't feel it is because you are missing the collagen in your skin. You're missing the fatty acid. You're missing the prostaglandin hormones. Your immune system is really, really compromised. And so, but here's the thing, you're still going to be impacted by the environment. Okay. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So no matter what, the reason why you get therapeutics is because you want to not feel. Now, here's the thing. You want to either lessen the energy, which is what I was kind of characterizing, because I'm trying to think out what is the actual point of therapeutics, vector therapeutics. And at first I'm like, okay, yeah, it lessens the energy because you're not feeling as harsh of a symptoms. But then I'm like, hold on a second. Maybe what they're doing is they're shutting down the pain sensors. Okay. And so your body's reacting to the environment. You're never going to not react to your environment. You're not going to be inert. You're not going to be immune to your environment. Your environment is still going to interact with you. But whether or not you see the transducers, whether or not you feel the transducers, whether or not you even know those transducers exist, does not still take away from the fact that those transducers, the viruses, the piezoelectric viruses, are still causing your body to react. But even though you don't feel it, it's still causing thermodynamics. And that is really the crux of why it is they want everyone to get therapeutized, because you don't want to feel pain. You still got to evolve to this environment. You're not immune to the environment. You don't live in a freaking bubble. I don't care how far away from society you live in. I don't care how near it. Things travel through the air, through the wind, through storms. I call every single storm a panspermia. Anything that is airborne, whether it's through a projected vector, whether it's through a seagull, a mosquito, everything is carrying something that you're going to have to adapt to. It's your microbiome. There's no freaking way around it. But now the medical industry has become so advanced to figure out how to compartmentalize all your different biomolecular cell signals. The ligand strands, you have your, the IP receptors, which is your prostaglandin receptors. Those are the things that tells you Yes, pain, but that's also evolution. And those also hold the agonist antibodies that promote growth. They're also, the other side of it is the search and destroy, the code enforcement, which are the antagonist antibodies that are being steered by the messages from the innate immune system through the antigen programming. Okay, so the antigen programming is basically the message from the innate immune system that this is the viral blueprint, okay, that was sent to the body not very long time ago, very recently, like within a millisecond, okay? And then it changes your telomeres. And then, of course, a person who understands, the jelly juice and the food supply, they can actually lengthen their telomeres. But those are the capsids at the end of your DNA strands that are driven by the viral programming that then in turn sends off the antigen programming to send messages to the adaptive immune system to do, yes, code enforcement, or otherwise known as search and destroy, because they're trying to keep to the limitations of the blueprint of the body. And so that's still going to happen regardless. Okay. Now, whether or not you feel it is another thing. Okay. Now you can have secondary antibodies program your body to then look for the algorithms of something specific, such as a variant that has specific algorithms that, yes, you can have antibodies produce and then attack the cells that are influenced by those variants. But then that's only destroying yourself. And on top of that, it's still utilizing energy that you really can't afford to be utilizing because it's not working to your benefit. See, there's a double thing going on when it comes to not only the vector therapeutic campaigns, but also just the environment. If people aren't doing the jelly juice and they aren't setting their body up correctly, releasing the excess, working their intracellular muscles, like coughing, so you can actually exercise the diaphragm to be able to expel. If you're not doing that, then you're atrophying yourself. And then when you do get exposed to a very aggressive variant, and let's say, yeah, you could do J juice, but you can't depend upon J juice forever. That's what I said yesterday. At some point, in that video, is that you're going to have to allow the body to have something in your throat, and then you have to help work it out. Okay? When people take large amounts of J juice, there's no thing to say sorry. I'm not worried about whatever, John. When people are using J juice, okay? When people are using J juice as a way to really try to get everything out, which is great, it means that you probably won't experience really aggressive symptoms. But then what happens is that you become very dependent on something else to do the energy for you, and you haven't conjured up the internal energy to flex and strengthen your intracellular muscles. Like, serious. So that's why I tell my people, okay, now that you've primed your body, you've used the J juice as training wheels to flex your internal muscles. Now you got to test and see exactly, not even test, you got to now flex your muscles because now you have what it takes. I mean, I'm serious. How are you going to know that you can actually expel mucus without using J juice unless you actually have to deal with it like I did? Okay. And it only took me a couple days. And so that's the thing, is that, and that's probably why I'm not getting too much flack by the government or by anyone out there, because, that's actually in the medical holistic industry, because they know this is a very, very strategic, so strategic that probably only a few people will really get. And when people are distracted, when they are trying to do so much and they don't understand how to balance and how to flex their internal muscles, they're going to utilize something that, may help them get through so they can go make their money. But when there's a really bad virus, like I'm telling you, this fall is going to be insane. I mean, every flu season is like an evolutionary season because, yes, it's when the weather gets colder. People are hanging out closer together. They're indoors. There's always going to be new viruses in the environment. I mean, why does a flu virus always mutate the flu virus has been around forever. It's even around during the summer. I've been sick during the summer before. I've had some kind of cold. I think the worst flu I had was in 2000 or 2001 when I was in the military for a minute. But and no one else got that variant that I had. So I think it was laying dormant within me and it got triggered by the environment. And I don't know. Anyways, and I probably was therapeuticized, but I don't know. But I know that the flu virus is around all year round. Okay. But the why it gets to be at such a crescendo, in the fall and the winter is, yes, I mean, the campaigns, the therapeutized campaigns, the vector campaigns, people hanging out together in close quarters. And yes, you're going to have people mutating stuff. And yeah, I mean, the sun, it doesn't necessarily like stop the transmission. It's not like it's a fungus where that's the balancing force. Because this hot weather, I mean, I was exposed to something in May, and then the hot weather, I guess 2 to 14 days is really the incubation for any new virus. So you could be around people 14 days ago, not know it, and then you're around other people, 2 days ago, and you think you caught something 2 days ago when you actually caught something 14 days ago. There's no way to really know where you catch your stuff. There's no freaking way. Okay? I mean, I kind of figured that I caught something from a party from someone that's recently vectorized because they told me they were, and they were also symptomatic, which, okay, fine. They wanted to be at the birthday party. I have no qualms with that. And I have to acclimate to my environment. So fine, give it all you got, because I'm going to have to deal with it anyways. And so, yeah, one of the side effects of some of these therapies is no period, and I still haven't had my period, and it's like June 10th. I haven't had it since April, so I'm not pregnant, so it's just like, okay. But anyways, so it's going to be a very, very, very difficult winter, and it's like I told you, every single flu season is going to be another layer of people dealing with the fact that they don't realize they don't have the energy, they don't have the thermodynamics to handle the atmosphere. Okay. And so just because you don't see a transducer, just because you don't feel a transducer doesn't mean that it's not working on you. Oh, it's working on you. You just don't have the sensors to feel it. And that's the most dangerous in the medical holistic system, is the fact they are actively practicing suppressing your pain sensors, letting you know that there's evolution going on and you have to treat your body accordingly. Not squelch it, not take some antibiotics, not take out an organ or get an operation, but yes, people are doing because the energy of growth is more than they can handle because our body has dark patches. They have deficits. And when you have dark patches and deficits in your body, and there's places where your body can grow, it will grow exponentially more than what the rest of the body can handle. And so my analogy about transducers, that you can't see but are working against you, that's exactly what the therapies are doing. You're still going to be exposed to a virus. I mean, not even so much that's inside the therapies. It's the environment that what you're reacting to. You wouldn't be taking these therapies if it wasn't for the environment. See, you're not immune to the environment. You're always going to have action reaction. It's always going to be Newton's law, first law, second law, third law. Newton is always going to be in control when it comes to physics. That's why you have to understand that Jilly Juice is about biochemistry, biology, chemistry, physics, math, English. It is everything that you're taught in college and in compulsory education. Okay? So, oh God. And so, yeah, I'm dealing with just on the end point of this, but telling you, it's not easy it's not gonna be easy for those that are very, I don't know, that need to evolve, like seriously need to evolve, and they're not strong enough. Okay, so just because you can't see a transducer doesn't mean it's not working against you. And so it is about the invisible energy out there that you can't see. And the only way to harness it is through conductors. That's why water is a conductor. That's why salt and water is a conductor. That's why metal is a conductor. That's why certain types of metals are conductors, because they're able to capture the energy in the environment. But there has to be a specific composition to be able to capture that energy and then direct it through specific means to then channel that energy into something purposeful and useful. And that is biotechnology, is taking raw material and converting it to something useful. And so that's what biotechnology does. That's what all the different bioengineering does. I mean, we can go back to being a caveman, and not have any technology, and you go back to hunting and gathering and being nomadic and all that. Or you can understand that, yes, somebody is bioengineering us, but you have the ability to not have it work against you. It doesn't have to trigger an entropy process. It doesn't have to trigger the second law of thermodynamics. It doesn't have to trigger death. It could trigger that, yes, you peak at a certain point and you mature, and then you stay maturing and you evolve little by little as the environment changes. You're not going to try to go and evolve yourself exponentially, because what are you evolving into, and is it going to align with the environment? No, the environment is the catalyst to the evolutionary stages of all biodiversity. So the environment's going to be the first thing that's going to change, and then you have to figure out how to change with the environment. And if you keep resisting the change, then what happens is it's this disintegration process, the entropy process, of which that is what the aging and degrading process is the people are not evolving to the level of the environment. And so the distance between two endpoints as far as life and death for those that believe they should die, when the environment becomes very aggressive and they have always resisted the changes in the environment, the two endpoints are going to be short. Okay? So your expectation to die in 60 years may be cut down to 30 years or even less. And so you have to understand it's all about energy, all about thermodynamics. It's all about how you utilize energy. And then, yes, there's reasons why people go in and get surgically things surgically taken out, because that's a lot of energy that their body can handle. And they haven't kept their body up to the level of the aggressive growth process from being exposed to a transducer. Because I'm telling you, I sleep maybe a few hours, and I sleep on and off. I get up and I post things, and then I go back to sleep for 4 or 5. I think I could do a solid sleep for 2 hours, 3 hours. It just depends. Okay, but I watched this movie on Netflix called Awake, and it's about some kind of virus in the environment or something environment that causes people to stay awake on a continuous basis. And there's one girl that's able to sleep, and she's sought after to be a test just to save humanity. And so you have all these people who have been awake for 24 hours, 48 hours. The environment has become so energized that the people couldn't adapt to that environment. So they're just awake, and then they become really just delirious and violent. And then they just drop dead because their brain is expanding more than their skull can handle. And so when you don't sleep, it makes your brain swell, and it also makes your brain cannibalize itself. And so that's why sleeping is so important on the J juice, and sleeping is important anyways, and not burning the candle at both ends, which many people do because they think, oh, I'm being productive by working myself to death. And I'm just you're killing yourself. Take a freaking nap, take a rest. But some people are bred to just be that Energizer bunny. And so yeah, you're going to see the environment with the Wi-Fi going from 5G, 6G, 7G, 8G, and which means that you have to now deal with the changes, and the viruses are going to also change things, and the energy of the 5G, 6G, 7G are going to actually give more power to the viruses, which means then you have to be more powerful to deal with that You know, we're going to be in a major evolutionary climb the next 50 something years until I guess the Georgia Guidestones get realized. And so I see it for what it is. And so I'm strengthening my diaphragm. Okay. I'm strengthening my diaphragm. I'm telling you, I don't feel as heavy as I did a couple of days ago when I first noticed that my boobs were bigger and I had a bit of a gut. The energy from coughing, the energy from my body evolving to the level of my environment definitely used up resources that I had on reserve. Okay, so you're going to have to really pad the resources and put them on reserve to deal with this next evolutionary, because I'm telling you, every year is going to be even more variants because we have 7 billion people. We have India that has biotech. India is dealing with some stuff. I'm sure China is dealing with some stuff. America obviously is dealing with stuff. The Philippines are dealing with stuff. Mexico is dealing with stuff. Okay. Every single third world country, every single first world country that has their hand in biotech, they're making so many different splices and dices of different variants of the same thing that there's no way you're gonna have real true just peace until whoever it is in charge has met their objective. Okay, which means that you're going to have to steadily get stronger and stronger on the J juice with the food supply. Eat the bioengineered food. I'm serious, because organic is not going to help you, especially when you are way next to nothing. You can't afford to be discriminatory in your food intake. You cannot afford to be. And so I would get your hands on every processed food. Get your hands on the J juice, not too much J juice to work off the nutrients, but enough J juice to get things going, and then get that bioengineered food in you. Because therapeuticized or not therapeuticized, you're going to have to deal with this environment. And if you don't have what it takes, so yeah, this is not for everybody. This is not for everybody. But those that get it will understand there is a definite strategy to this. And it means that you can't be afraid of pain. You can't be afraid of feeling sick and dealing with it. You can't try to like mitigate pain with J juice, and you can't try to run away from your environment. Okay? That's not how it works. The environment is the first thing to change, and then everything follows suit. And if you can't change with it, then you're gonna devolve. And so I'm watching all these people on my Facebook who are very religious, Christian, yes, or they're in the conspiracy world against the New World Order, and they're resisting like you would not believe. Some of them are very cute. Yeah, so they'll sell their position very well. And they're not wrong that there's definitely a scaling down the population going on, but they're going about it all wrong. And there's no way I can get through to them, because the only way they think is going to work is to resist. But they're spinning their wheels and they're utilizing more energy. And then guess what? I'm watching like Rosa Quarry and other people in the chemtrails world. They're dropping like flies, because if they would take that energy and redirect it from the activism and did the J juice and built up their body, they wouldn't be a victim of their own campaigns. So that is the self-fulfilling prophecy of activism, is that you will be a victim of your own campaign. All right, so talk to you later. Bye.